As someone that's been training for many years, I've tried various workout splits. Everything from full body, push-pull legs, upper lower, you name it, I've probably tried it. While I had varying results over the years with different routines, ideally, I kind of wanted to find a routine that I could do every day, which usually meant doing a full body routine. Now, for the longest time, I didn't think that would be possible. How could you program a full body routine and not get fatigued? Well, that mindset changed when I came across this YouTuber. This is K Boges, otherwise known as K Boges. He's a content creator and personal trainer who has simplified his approach to training and done fundamental full body training every day using primarily 3 different movements: push, pull, and legs. And as you can see, the results speak for themselves. With this approach, he believes in consistency and getting better at fundamental movements, gradually increasing reps, sets, and intensity over time. As someone that had a busy schedule around the time of discovering K Boges, I found this approach refreshing, so I decided to give it a try. Initially, I really enjoyed the flexibility and the variety I could have within fundamental movements. I could do a handful of movements one day and then change it the next, having variety but still working on fundamentals. However, I did see that I was lacking in certain areas. There were certain movement patterns that I wasn't hitting. Of course, I'm referring to other movement patterns such as rotation, anti-rotation, hinge, and locomotion, which basically means running, walking, various sorts of cardio and dynamic movements. So, how can one program a consistent routine practicing all these different movement patterns without getting fatigued? Well, let me show you a weekly routine that I created inspired by this K Boges routine, working a variety of different movements but focusing on fundamentals. As you'll see in this weekly split, each workout will start with a skill, followed by a push, a pull, a leg, a rotation, an anti-rotation, a hinge, and a locomotive movement. Usually, I'll use a weight vest for the push, pull, and leg movements on this day. However, this particular routine, I decided to do something different. In order to work myself a little bit differently and challenge the muscle stabilizers, I decided to use weight from a sandbell and ankle weights to challenge myself in these movements rather than just using a weight vest. As for the squats, you will see later in the routine that I have something else in the routine that incorporates squats that kind of makes up for not using a weight vest with the squat movement. On athletic days, I like to practice skills and movements that are more dynamic and explosive in nature. Now, occasionally I will add in a skill like an L-sit to practice, but typically I like to keep this more of a light, explosive, and athletic focused day. Functional days are for practicing your standard movements in what we consider a functional way. So that really means just using your standard pull-up bar, kettlebells, other pieces of equipment that you would consider part of like a functional fitness routine. It's really just kind of getting better at those movements in a very functional way. Now, you will see some of the exercises I do on this routine are more in the strength range. Now, some of these can be interchangeable with the strength days and vice versa. In the example of the video, though, that's just the equipment I had on the given day, so I just went for that rep range instead of going for higher reps that I might normally do on a functional day. Now, as you will see on this strength day, I do incorporate the weight vest for the push, the pull, and the leg movements. Sometimes I will divide this routine into a couple different complexes. So for example, I will start with a push, a pull, and a leg movement using the weight vest, followed by a second complex that uses mainly body weight or dumbbells to do other movements that are kind of working within a strength range. Vertical athletic days are days in which I like to challenge myself through a greater range of motion with my pull-ups, for example. As you will see, I am using ninja grips for my pull-ups, which obviously works not only my pulling strength, but my grip immensely. I also like to do straight bar dips, Tabata slams, pretty much other like vertical athletic dynamic movements I typically reserve for this day. As for the medicine ball movements, depending on the time that I have for this routine, I might group all three together as a tri-set, which basically means I do all three back to back, and I just do this as a way to save time in the routine and just to further challenge myself in my grip with all three movements at one given time. So after a mobility session, my horizontal functional days ironically start off with rock climbing as the skill. Now, the only reason why I have it programmed as such is Saturdays are really the only day I can rock climb, and it's better to get it in at least once than not at all. Having said that, after climbing, I typically reserve this day for other horizontal functional movements like pushing a weight sled, using a row machine, doing heavier farmer carries. Again, anything of that ilk that would fit in as a functional movement that is horizontal, I typically have on this day. And last, but certainly not least, we have Sundays. Sundays I have programmed as a rest day. If I feel like going for a quick run or going for a walk or some other light movement like a mobility routine, I will try to work that in, but usually Sundays are days where I just kind of relax and don't do anything overly physical. Overall, I really like this routine. It allows me to have a good amount of variety within fundamental movements, but also have a consistency to keep stacking on improvements and building up my overall strength and fitness levels. For example, my handstand time has nearly tripled since I began this program about a year ago. There's other skills that have greatly been improved as well, but the handstands in particular have been very noticeable as far as their improvements. Now, with that said, there are still days that I have to vary the intensity. Depending on what I'm doing in a given week in my personal life, I may have to adapt the workouts and vary the intensity. Not every day will be an intense day, which is part of the reason why these workouts are structured the way they are. It's all about monitoring your volume and intensity properly. As for K Boges, I highly recommend anyone check out his channel if they're looking for advice regarding a more consistent routine or just general fitness and wellness content. He is an expert in his field and he has fantastic content. All of his links will be in the description of this video. And that's all I got for you guys today. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later.